Is the TV license grossly unfair and outdated, or is it an essential part of any country to have a national infrastructure for their broadcasting service? Here's a very reasoned, I hope very reasoned analysis across this video. But first of all, if you're new to me, I'm Daniel Shudsmith, the Barrister of England and Wales. Please do subscribe. I help you to understand law. Let's talk about TV licensing. Now, let's talk about licensing in general. What is a license for? Now, you think of license. Firstly, I think most people think of a driving license, then most people might think of, I don't know, fishing license or a pub license, a gambling license, and all of these kind of things. What do they all have in common? Well, when you think of a license and what a license does and what a license is for, it's usually for public safety, public welfare. It's to comply with regulations. Sometimes it's for enforcement and accountability. So we might think of alcohol and licenses. So to get an alcohol license for premises serving alcohol either on or off premises, they need to comply with certain things and they need to go through applications so they know who's involved and what they're doing, their hours of operation and all of those kind of things. You get a driving license, you go through a full testing process so they know that you are safe, at least at that point in time, you are safe on the road. Who's to say that you're not safe on the road literally the week after you pass your driving test or some 60 years later, but by the by. Now, all of those things, there's a good reason for that license. Broadcasting. Now, let's talk about broadcasting generally speaking. To be a company that is broadcasting television, you need a license under the Communications Act, just as the TV license. It's nothing to do with the TV license, but as a TV broadcasting company, you need a license for that. Gambling, you need a license for that. To run a betting shop or a casino under the Gambling Act 2005, you need a license to be a gambling premises. Now, some licenses are revenue generating, such as to use the roads. Obviously, it's a public fund, your vehicle fund. It's not called car tax anymore as such. It's properly referred to as your vehicle excise duty, but used to be just plain old road tax or road fund license. That is a revenue generation. Now, because if you use the road, here's the argument, if you use the road, then it's fair that you are paying something towards the upkeep and the national infrastructure of those roads. Sounds fair. Some people will cry that the cyclists now don't pay road fund license, but the argument is they don't do nearly as much damage to it as the vehicles do. And to some degree, we all contribute to it through our normal taxes and so on. Now, I'm not going to dive into detail on that, but then we come back to TV license. So what is it and what does it do? Well, TV licensing will tell you, sell to you, if you like, the idea that it funds the income from the TV license fee means that all license payers can enjoy, I'm not sure that everyone enjoys it, but enjoy a wide choice of BBC programmes and services on TV, radio, online, and etc. Now, the BBC is not without its criticism, which I won't go into or substantiate in this video, but the BBC is open to its own criticism across many years, and many people may feel that it is not deserving of the TV licence funding. And such is the debate as to whether it should remain active, this licence fee. And I'm prompted for this video today by another post on X that says, let's just scrap the TV licence fee and it should go subscription. It should be privatised and go completely subscription. Now, if, very, very rough calculation here, if one were to pay something in the region of £12 to £15 a month for the BBC services, that would roughly equate to what the TV licence fee is every year. Obviously, only if people pay that because they want to watch BBC services. But the licence itself, you are paying not for the BBC, even though the money goes to the BBC. You are paying the TV licence fee if you watch or record any live TV or you consume BBC content on BBC iPlayer, or the technical one where you've installed apparatus for that purpose. And that was really to catch the situation where it's been installed and therefore needs a license because it's being installed for that purpose. But that's the very old one, and that gave rise to the myth that if a device is capable of receiving a TV signal, then you need to pay for a license, which of course is not true. The license is for watching or recording that content. But not just on the BBC, on anywhere in the world, any TV station. So people often have the questions, what about channels from India or from Australia, the United States, if they are live TV programs? And that's being watched on your iPad, for example. Then sure enough, if it is a TV broadcast anywhere in the world, anytime, any device, you need to pay the TV license, and the funds are funneled towards the BBC. And so all of that money then goes to the BBC, even though you are just paying for the privilege, if you like, of watching or recording live TV. But that got me to thinking, how many other countries still do this? Is this really just as isolated as some people think it might be? So I elicited the use of ChatGPT to do some research for me, because I wasn't going to spend the time doing that myself. So I trust that this is reasonably accurate, but with the caveat that it is from ChatGPT, and I hope that it's at least somewhat accurate. But nonetheless, it says countries that have abolished the TV license fees include the Netherlands, Belgium, Cyprus, Malta, Iceland, Finland, France, Germany, Sweden, Slovakia, Italy. There's a little bit of a common theme going on there. But however, there are some countries that still maintain the fee. But some of those that abolished it as long ago as 2000, 2001. Cyprus abolished it in the late 90s. Iceland abolished it in 2007. But there are a list of countries that do maintain a TV license, according to ChatGPT. Obviously, the UK, we still maintain the TV license, but Switzerland charges an annual fee of 365 Swiss francs for public broadcasting. Austria, the fees vary by state, ranging between €251 and €320 annually, which seems quite expensive to me. A little bit more than our 100 and whatever it is, what the TV license is. TV license fee today is, as of the 1st of April 24, £169.50 a year. But €320 equates to £268, so quite expensive. Denmark maintains the licensing fee, although there have been discussions of potential reforms. Norway are discussing reforms. Japan maintains a TV license fee to fund broadcasters. And the list goes on. So we are not alone. So this is not entirely unusual. It's not entirely isolated. But many people do feel that this is a bit of an archaic, out-of-date license fee. Now, without doing the research into the others, although one of them I do recall said that it was a national broadcaster, but certainly for ours in the United Kingdom, it is all going to the BBC. Now, what happens if you starkly disagree with the BBC? What if you don't like the BBC? I'm not saying I like or dislike the BBC. I suppose some of the content is probably brilliant and some of it probably isn't. But without passing comment on that specifically, I think it's a point of principle. I think if a lot of people actually don't like the idea of paying for a license fee, perhaps they shouldn't have to, and it should go to a subscription model. And you never know, they might actually raise more money by doing that than having the license fee. I'm not sure if they've done that, but let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is an archaic and unnecessary tax as such, this fee to watch or record live TV? Bearing in mind that if you contravene that legislation, it is still a criminal offence. To watch or record live TV is still a criminal offence without the requisite licence. Now, you can't go to prison for it, but you can be fined up to £1,000. It's a non-recordable offence, which means it will disappear very quickly, and it won't be stored on a national database of criminal records. And the average fine is only £200 or £300 or whatever it is. But it does have a very, very high conviction rate, meaning a lot of people plead guilty to it because they don't want to face going to court over it. A lot of people may plead guilty even if they are not guilty because they don't want to go to court over it. I know a number of people have emailed me about that and said that they plead guilty because they didn't want to go to court. They didn't want to face the consequences of actually going to court over it. I think that's unfair. I think you should never plead guilty to something you didn't do. And you should always, really, if it's a criminal thing, I think you should always argue if you strongly feel that you are not guilty of it. But such as it is. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.